What's poppin', everybody? This is Roll4, and today I'm going to show you guys an old school Relinquished deck profile. The ban list for this deck is going to be the May 2003 ban list. During that period, we got the Pegasus starter deck, and we got Graceful Charity from that. And then around 2 weeks after that, the GBA game Stairway to the Destined Duel came out. And the US version for that game had Sinister Serpent and Harpy's Feather Duster, so those cards got introduced in the format. And then the May ban list, May 2003 ban list, check those cards. Put them to 1, put Charity to 2. So that's essentially the period we're talking about. So Relinquished, the main card, of course, the main ritual monster we're trying to get out. Of course, you got to run 3 for this deck. This was the best ritual monster from that period, and the only viable one, pretty much, because it was a level 1 ritual monster, so you only had to sacrifice 1 monster to get it out. And it actually had effects. The other ritual monsters, they're basically vanilla monsters, high-level monsters with no effects. This guy, you can steal a monster, so eliminate card advantage from your opponent, steal their monster, and copy its stats. If they killed it by battle, it would survive, and you just be able to copy the next monster again, and then we're going to get the battle damage too from battle involving this card. So, really good card. The main dude we're going to try and get out. Next up, we're going to have one Jinzo. Jinzo was at 1. Very good card. Negate your opponent's traps. Crucial card in the format. Mini win condition in a way. Big card. And it's good in this deck, of course. Negate your opponent's traps. Make sure nothing messes with Relinquished. Trap cards anyway. And of course, if we do need to do this, we can just ritual summon Relinquished and then sacrifice him to summon this guy. So that's a way you can summon it. But Relinquished, very good. You gotta run it. Then we got the cards that make the deck work. Sonic Bird, 3 of this card, and then 3 of Senju. I guess put this guy in here too. So these were the original Stratos cards in a way. The original on-summon monsters that let you grab a card from your deck. So if it were for these cards, the deck wouldn't even be viable. But because of the existence of them in Spell Ruler or Magic Ruler, you could summon Sonic Bird, get your ritual spell card, summon Senju, get your ritual monster, and since they were on summon card advantage cards, it sort of gave this deck a sort of edge, gave it its unique thing, and it would help you gain the cards necessary to make the ritual summon. Because if you ritual summon, you minus a lot. So the combination with this guy only being a level 1 monster, and since that you could fetch cards with these guys, made it sort of viable. So gotta max these guys out for sure. Then we got the one Witch of the Black Forest, and I guess Sangan too. These guys are sort of together as well. These cards were at 1, obviously great floaters. Grab basically almost anything in the deck. Can grab Sinister Serpent, can grab Relinquished, can grab Senju, Sonic Bird, anything you need, of course. They would die. They were safe on the field unless they were removed from play. So you didn't have to worry about them. You were going to grab something back that would replace themselves. Okay. Then we got the 1 Sinister Serpent. This card was at 1. This deck was even better when this guy, you could use like 2 or 3. You didn't really want to run 3 even when it was a 3. But 2 was great. For this deck, of course, it went to 1. But this card is great because you can use it, of course, to mitigate Graceful Charity's effect and essentially just discard 1 card when you play that. In our deck, since we ritual summon Relinquished, you can essentially use this to ritual summon that guy for free, basically. Just a great card. If you have this in hand, your opponent delinquents duo. If you were fortunate enough and they hit this card, then it was great once again. So great card, went to 1. You gotta run it in this deck. And then we got Magician of Faith, 2 of this card. Magician of Faith is good, of course, because it lets you grab any spell card with its flip effect. And in our case, we can use it to get our Black Illusion Ritual as well, our ritual card. So 2 of this, good little card, helping you set up. Good little defensive card, I guess. If you can't really do a lot of shit, you can just set it and then get a spell card back if your opponent doesn't destroy it through an effect. So 2 of her, good. And even though it's a level 1, of course, once again, you can easily use it to ritual summon Relinquished. So it's good. Now for the spell cards, we run 3 of Black Illusion Ritual. You definitely need this card to get the Relinquished guy out, of course. We didn't have any other fancy spell cards like ritual spell cards. You had to use the corresponding spell card for your ritual monster. And this is the one for Relinquished. So 3 of this. And then Staple Time, we got the 1 Pot of Greed. And then we got 2 Graceful Charity as well. This, of course, Pot of Greed +1, staple. And then Graceful Charity, dig through your deck, get the stuff you need. It was kind of crazy that they didn't put this to 1 immediately, but it was at 2. And it actually stayed like this for a while. But let's not get into that. So you run these. And then we got the Hand Attacking Trio, Delinquent Duo, Confiscation, and the Forceful Sentry. Staple cards, these were at 1, of course. Mess with your opponent's hand. Delinquent Duo was essentially a +1 if you played it, like Pot of Greed. Discard, exchange basically 1 card for 2 from your opponent's hand. 2 good. With Sinister Serpent, if you hit that, then obviously it was a bit weaker. But still, staple cards, very powerful. You had to run them. And these would mess up like your opponent's, if your opponent was using these cards, of course, they would mess up your Relinquished combo as well, because you need, of course, 2 cards to get to do that. You need the ritual spell, you need the monster. So this would hurt our deck even more than normal. But yeah. And then more staples. You gotta have your Raigeki and Dark Hole for destruction, monster destruction. I don't think I need to say anything. These cards were very broken back then. Essentially forced your opponent to be careful of the monsters they played on the board. So that you wouldn't get the plus, destroy multiple monsters and gain a lot of, or your opponent would lose a lot of card advantage. So these cards. And then I've got Harpy's Feather Duster for spell and trap removal. And we have the other spell and trap removal cards I'll show you later. This is like Raigeki for spell and traps. And then we got the revival cards, Monster Reborn and Premature Burial. Great cards to get Jinzo, great cards to get Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest, and you would gain their effects once again if they died. And of course, the best card to get, Relinquished. If you ritual summon the guy officially, and then he dies, you can actually use this card to get him back. He doesn't have any of those limitations where you can only summon him through a ritual summon. If you ritual summon him first, you can get him back with these cards. So great. And then we got the Steal-In Monster Steal spells. Change a heart and then Snatch Steal. Steal your opponent's monsters, of course. You can even steal them. And if you don't have anything to tribute them for, like Jinzo, of course you can steal the monster and then summon Relinquished. But you got to make sure that they have another monster down too, because you don't want to play Relinquished and then have nothing to steal. So if they have 2 monsters and you can steal 1 and make a ritual summon, you can do that. Obviously, you can just do this. You can just use them to steal like a Jinzo or another powerful monster. And then I guess with Change of Heart, steal the game. Steal a face-down monster with this if you think that it's a Magician of Faith or something. Or another flip effect monster. So broken cards once again, stables. And then we got some additional spell and trap removal. The 1 Heavy Storm and then 2 MSTs. Put these cards together, but with these you should have some decent spell and trap removal. This wasn't at 2 or anything, it was at 3, but you know, we can't really just max it out. We need space for other cards. So staple, spell and trap removal. And then the traps for this deck, I've got triple Time Seal. Yeah, this was at 3. The reason that we run this card is because it's obviously very good. Negate your opponent's draw phase. They have to skip the draw phase. But because it's a chainable, easy to use trap card. So you can just set this with like a Mirror Force or something, and if they Heavy Storm, you can chain this easily, and it's just going to be a 1-for-1. So you use this right. Don't use this during the standby phase, or just, yeah, like just when they draw. You play this at the start of their turn, because you're not going to get the effect. You have to wait until the standby phase, and then for the next turn they're not going to draw. So Time Steal, triple Time Steal. And then we got One Mirror Force, it was at 1, it was a good card. Could save your ass, I guess, if your opponent had to attack. Destroy a bunch of the monsters, good card. And then we got Imperial Order. This was at 1, once again. Very good card, negate your opponent's spells, and then you could just shut it down on your turn. You didn't have to keep it around if you didn't want to. So it's great. And I believe the ruling, yeah, it's not gonna affect Relinquished like the equip spell. If you have something equipped on it, it doesn't affect that. It's not gonna get negated. You lose the attack boost. I'm pretty sure that's right, but Imperial Order, you gotta have it. And then for the final trap card, we got the 1 Call of the Haunted. Once again, you could use this to revive any monster. So this is the deck, guys. Relinquished from where are you? From 2003 May format. So this was a solid deck for back then. It had trouble against hand control and control decks that ran a lot of Solemn Judgments, Mask Sorcerer, those kinds of decks, but it was good against the beatdown decks because you could steal the strong monsters, steal stuff like Mechanical Chaser, Gemini Elf by that point, steal Jinzos, just steal big monsters in general. Was good against those. And if you want to find out more about this deck profile, more notes and strategy about it, and other old school deck profiles from that era, you can check out my book, The Original Yu-Gi-Oh! Era, on Amazon. This is a very good comprehensive guide for that sort of era. It has a lot of deck profiles, a lot of notes and strategy with a lot of decks. Covers basically every format from Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon to Dark Crisis. And it's just a very cool Yu-Gi-Oh! Book. I'll have the links in the description, of course, and please check it out if you're interested. So this has been Saber054. Hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Thank you guys for watching. Wasai!